Hello, welcome back to the channel. This video is part 3 of the Rebuild the Box series, remodeling the kitchen. So let's go take a look at what we've got and what we're going to do. So now here is my kitchen cabinet, and I made it out of wood. It's actually built into the truck, and it's also connected a little bit with here, and it's against the bed and everything, but in this compartment here is where my water filter is. So behind here, of course, I've got a bunch of stuff, as well as my gray tank for my sink, and then of course I've got my refrigerator, and then over here my water heater with a bunch of storage. Every day I've got to remove all this stuff so I can use my water heater. One of the reasons why I am rebuilding this cabinet here is so that I can rebuild using foam board, same type of method that I use to make the foam cabinets. The second reason why I am going to be redesigning the kitchen cabinet is I need to make it 8 inches shorter, and the reason why is because back here when I get ready to remove all of this stuff here, to clear it out just to give it more room, my new bedding. Bruh. This sink here is at the edge, so I can't exactly cut any more off of this because of the sink. So I have to take it off of this edge of the countertop. So hopefully it doesn't ruin the finish, but we'll see what happens when the time comes. So the first step we got to do is to start clearing out these cabinets and remove the refrigerator and everything, just to get down to the cabinet, so I can start disassembling everything. I gotta clean the top of that. It's extremely dusty. But anyway, that's where my fridge is gonna sit until I complete the rest of the cabinet. So a couple things to note here. Now if you look inside here, if you notice, it's deeper than it is on these two cabinets. The reason why is because where the fridge sits here and this cabinet here is actually the wheel well for the truck. So being that I have to shrink this whole thing about 8 inches, I have to take it out of here and out of here because I cannot make the refrigerator any skinnier. So therefore, what I'm gonna have to do is take this whole thing apart, and we're gonna move the water heater over a couple inches. See how I have a little bit of space there? It's gotta be like that on the other side. But this panel here is going to be a half panel, so that I still have a little bit more open space for it. I have to extend this wheel well out so that I have something for the refrigerator to sit on. And then of course, as long as I have enough room to get my gray water tank in and out for my sink, that should suffice for that. So let's start taking this thing apart. But first, it is getting a little late and I am hungry, so I'm going to be making some honey chicken, and I'll let that cook while I'm taking apart the cabinets. I'm not gonna lie, that smells kind of good. So I am running off 15 amp currently because of my air conditioner, because I can't run off my solar. So also have to shut that off in order to use the electric cooktop. I mean, unless I use my gas one, but I only really use that when I'm way off grid. All right, we'll let that cook and just start taking apart this cabinet. Well, that sucks. Well, at least it's shorter, but we'll see if I even need it. I put silicone up here when I originally built the box, and I'm paying for it now. All right, so I have the doors off and all these little trim pieces off. I also undid the screws for these brackets that are holding the countertop on to this frame here. So let's check in on that. Let's check in on that chicken. Wow, that looks good. I think I'm gonna throw some rice in there, let it cook a little bit, and then enjoy it. And then after that, put all this stuff away so that I can remove the countertop and then remove the rest of this frame. I can't believe I didn't buy rice at the store. Bruh. Oh well. I'll have to enjoy this honey chicken by itself, but it smells delicious and looks great. Dinner is good. Letting that cool down. In the meantime, I've got to get these disconnected so that I can leave the faucet connected, and then I can hopefully remove this countertop. And don't chastise me. This is all I've got right now. I forgot to grab tools when I left work. All right, so now that everything is cleared out and disconnected and unhooked and unscrewed and everything else, hopefully we'll be able to get this thing up. Now we're left with literally just the frame. So let's start removing it. All right, it's the next day, so we're gonna try to remove all the rest of this stuff and move the water heater over, do some plumbing stuff, get everything situated, and maybe even fit some of the stuff in, glue it in. We'll see we'll see how far we get. that I have the water heater disconnected and removed, I removed this other stuff and messed with the pipes so that I can move this closer towards that wall. All right, I have a big mess here, but now that I've gotten all of these pieces separated, I wanted to reuse some of these 90s and T's. So I've got the water heater mocked up to where I feel like it's going to go. As you can see, it's hard to see, but there's hardly any room over there. The only problem I have, however, is on the right side. If you can see right here is actually where the batteries have to be replaced. There's a little door that 2D batteries sit. So therefore, that's what gives this thing power. It is run off of, propane, but it sits real close to. This is where my fuel neck is to fill my gas tank on the truck itself. So yeah, that's the only problem. Otherwise, I think we're good. I'm just going to take these 2x4s, this one here and then that one there, and I'm actually going to move them over so they sit closer to the right, and I can use those to mount the water heater to. So I think it'll work out okay, because I mean, worst case scenario, if I have to change those batteries, I could just take a couple screws out. I'll try to give these pipes here some slack, so if I have to change them out, I could just unscrew it, pull the bottom out a little bit, and then this way here I can get it changed. But I'm gonna put fresh batteries in there just so that I know that I don't have to change them for a while, but it'll be fine. Let's continue on. So now I just got to go there, 90 to that, T to that, and then the rest of it will go to that, which will go to my sink and the water supply. And amongst all this mess, and it's thundering out, but it's time for dinner. I'm making some French bread pizza. It's from Red Baron. Actually, I make it on the stovetop. It's pretty easy. Just take a little bit of olive oil and throw it in there, and then you cook it on a low heat. I cook it on 3, 3.5, 3, something like that, with the lid on it for like 10-20 minutes or so, or like 20-30 minutes, whatever. It's the same thing as putting it in the oven, to be honest with you, time-wise, but that's how I do it. I'm gonna pull that one off, put that other one on, let that cook, eat some food, and get back to work. So I bought 2 sticks of 5-foot hex, but unfortunately I cut the blue one too short. So I'm gonna I connected the blue one to the hot water pipe. It's gonna be behind everything, so it doesn't really matter. And then the red one here, I'm gonna cut it to fit for the cold water. And we should be good. 2 more of these bad boys and the water should be connected back. And that's a big step in the right direction. Now the hot water and all my plumbing is all routed correctly the way I need it to go. And I got to put one more screw at the bottom of that to hold that in, but that shouldn't be an issue. But otherwise, the plumbing's done. So now I just got to take apart the rest of this stuff so I can put in the so I can build up this platform, and I can put in all the new stuff. All right, it's the next day. It is Saturday morning, so it's the weekend. Unfortunately, my battery died on my drill last night, so I couldn't continue to take the rest of this stuff apart. So anyway, I've got a fresh battery. Got to take the rest of the frame here all apart. All right, let's get to it. Well, I thought it was a charged battery, but it wasn't. So I had to get a different one. All right, and now that we have all of the pieces removed from the old cabinet, now we can start fitting in some of the new pieces.
So if you saw one of my previous videos where I made the foam cabinets, I did the same process that I made those cabinets, except for I pre-made these panels according to the drawing that I made and the measurements that I had. So for anyone who did not see my foam cabinet video, I am using XPS foam board insulation, and after I cut each piece down to the approximate dimensions that it needed to be, and then notched out the ends to make finger joints to where I can put this cabinet together as a dry fit without having to glue anything together, and it would stay together, which also makes it stronger. I am also painting and screening each one of these pieces as well, using a screen that you would find on your screen door or on a screen part of a window. And I am screening and painting both sides to add to the durability of these panels and make them stronger. I used a hot knife originally to cut each one of these pieces, but after these panels have been made, then you can go over with a utility knife of sorts. I have one with a longer blade. This way here I can trim it out, which you'll see coming up in the video.
Of course, I didn't take into account for certain things like that corner right there where my fuel fill is. Stuff like that, or these 2x4s. I didn't remember that 2x4 there and this one up here. I didn't remember that those were there, because that is where one wall is going to go, being that I got to shrink this whole thing. So we're going to have to adjust it as we go, but that's okay, because majority of it is made, as you can see here, painted and screened on both sides. And as you can see, I got to trim a little bit of that. That's fine. So pretty much we're going to trim it, mock it all up into place, and then once everything fits the way it needs to be and all the dimensions are correct, then we'll proceed with gluing everything together. Alright, now that we got the screen all trimmed up, next we're going to measure this out and trim it over here. this is the next piece that's going to go along this wall here. I'm going to trim up this screen as well, and then I'll be right back. And we'll get this mocked up into place. All right, so this panel is all trimmed up. So let's give it a fit. And my pipes are in the way in the back there, so I'm gonna have to trim a little bit off, and that's fine. All right, trimmed a little bit. Let's see if it fits any better. Perfect. So you can see how it sits in there. And I still have access to the water heater and everything, so I've got it tucked in there a little bit, but it's got some space for ventilation. And this comes up to that wall pretty much like that. So I got space there, and then this wall is going to give it a couple inches here, so I'll have ventilation. When I use that, I always have the cabinet door open anyway. When I put this center wall in here, that'll come up to about the same height as that. Although I'm going to have to trim it out because of this pipe. I didn't take into account this being here. Well, I didn't realize it, and so I'm going to have to cut out a pretty big chunk of this center wall. And so, yeah, so let me get that trimmed up, and we'll fit that in and see how that looks. Alright, so now this panel is trimmed up, and this one's going to fit into here, but I have to trim the rear of it up. As you can see, because of the pipe that goes through there and the 2x4s. And I didn't realize this either, but I'm gonna have a problem when I'm putting that brace on back here, because I'm gonna have to cut all of that out because of the pipe. Otherwise it'll get too close, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna have to do some modifications on here, and yeah, let's see where we're at in a minute here. Alright, so it fits pretty decent down there. And that's what it looks like on the inside. So a little bit more cramped than before, but it's fine. I guess as long as I can fit my propane tank in there, which I should be able to. It looks like there's enough space. Alright, I do have to trim this up a little bit back here. A little bit more. As you can see, that's really close. We'll trim that up a little bit more, and then we'll move on. Alright, that's much better. At least I won't be melting anything. So that's pretty good. Alright, so I got the bottom, the back here trimmed out for the pipes. So let's see how this fits. Alright, that's actually pretty good. I feel like it anyway. I'm gonna do some measurements though. I'm gonna grab a couple more pieces. I gotta put the piece right here, and then, well, at least this piece here, just so I can see if I clear this right here, which I should. Problem is the outlet right there, which I probably have to move over a little bit, but that is not a big issue. I just got to measure it out, make sure it's the correct width though. So let me go see about doing that and clean up this mess here real quick. So I got this cleaned up, and I was looking around, and actually one thing to note, and I didn't quite realize it, although I kind of did, is I thought I had to extend it out here for the wheel well, like you can see, but so since I have my floor in for these other this cabinet here, and then where the fridge is going to sit, and I screened and painted on both sides, this should be pretty sturdy for the refrigerator to sit on. So yeah, I think what I might do is just put a piece of wood on it just to make it even stronger, and then that should suffice for that. Therefore, I can use this for something else. And so I have to fill this gap in with some foam and such, just to make it look a little bit more appealing and to insulate it a little bit more, because that is my wheel well. But I still have this space that I might actually take some foam that I have. I mean, I'm not sure if I'll use these foam scraps here, but I have other foam scraps that I can probably throw together and make a drawer. And that'd be kind of neat to have a drawer down there at the bottom for certain things. Little stuff, nothing too crazy. It's a decent size, but you know, obviously it goes the length of this, which is about 2 feet roughly, 23 inches I think it was, or something along those lines. So it'll go back pretty far too. That's a pretty good idea. I might actually do that. All right, so I have the last 4 panels. It's the middle one, the one on the end, and then the 2 braces, which the one is going to go across the top, then one panel here, and then I had another one that was supposed to go along the back, but I'm not sure if that one's going to work. But anyway, let me clear off all the excess screen material and such, and then we'll go from there. I got these 2 other pieces trimmed up, and they are in. And so I have to actually remove this, and I got to move it over a little bit so that I can clear this piece back there. And I have to trim up a little bit down there for the pipes to fit. The same thing on this side as well for the pipes to fit. But my shutoff valves fit, but I can also move that cold water valve over a little bit more as well, which I think I'm going to do that just to get it away from the wall there. But I have to do a few things, and then let me get this all taken care of, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done, along with the brace up top here, and then the brace below here. Actually, I'm gonna have to just cut it up and just do a top piece and a bottom piece. So check it out. So I got everything together, mocked up. I got the brace on the top here, and I split the other one because I had made another one that looked like this, but I split it, and after I moved the outlet over, then I just took one piece, put it there, and another piece up there, and that'll actually work pretty good. So this is 15 inches, this is 18 inches, and that is 15 inches. So overall, from that wall to this edge, it is 52 inches, and that's actually exactly how I had planned it. So after trimming some things, just making it fit, just to get the pipes to go through and everything. And this is where the sink is going to go. The refrigerator is going to go here, and obviously the water heater is right there. So yeah, so now time to take this thing apart and glue it all together and put it back together. Alright, so I got everything moved over and slightly disassembled. And so I'm going to start gluing everything together, and I'm going to use this Gorilla Heavy Duty Construction Adhesive. And if you don't know why I'm using this, look at my one of my previous videos, the one I built, the foam cabinets, and I explain it a little bit better. But either way, it doesn't dry up super hard. It's kind of flexible. That's good for an application like an RV where it's a constant earthquake from driving around all the time. So anyway, we're going to use this as good adhesion, and we're going to glue it all together and glue it to the floor. And yeah, because I want to make this thing kind of permanent, so I could always scrape it up. It's not going to be a big deal, but let's get to it. Okay, so now I have everything glued up. It still needs a couple of finishing touches. I gotta cut a couple of other pieces of foam, but either way, these are good. The sink is gonna sit in here. The outlet's fine, and then my water lines, and then this brace up top here, and that's where my refrigerator is gonna sit. And I've already said all this already, so I gotta build something to go right here for this little kick panel here, and I'm gonna put something here just so that it's not so open. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here as well, just to make it seem more of like a pocket, so that it's not so open, just stuff falls out. The only other thing that we got to do is to cut the countertop that I had up here originally. We were going to cut the edge over here about 8 inches, so that we could just bring it down so this way here it'll fit. So either way, all the dimensions are perfect. It's 52 inches long ways, and then from the wall out it's about 22 inches or so. So everything looks good, everything is lined up. I'm just going to let it dry for a little bit, and then we'll see what else we can come up with. Alright, so I got everything glued up. I also went ahead and cut a small piece of 1/8. I repurposed it from the panel that was originally here. So I just cut that down and put that up there for just extra durability, and I glued it in. I don't think it's going to need it though. It's fine. It's really really sturdy. Anyway, I put a couple pieces of foam, 2 pieces here. I glued them in, and a couple little small pieces. I also went ahead and put one in along the side there, along the wheel well as well, so that I can insulate the wheel well, because it is metal, and when it gets cold it radiates, which is another reason why that black box, that storage box, is going to be removed. Anyway, I still left that hole right there for a drawer that I'm going to make, but I didn't make one yet. I'm going to make one at some point. I'll probably just make a short for that at some point. But anyway, the next thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to clean up some of this stuff, because as you can see, the truck's kind of a mess. But yeah, I want to take my refrigerator and put it back into the spot here and plug it in. This way here it's out of the way, because as you can see, it's not very much room to get in and out with the refrigerator sitting right there in the middle. So after that, the only other thing to do, I guess, would be to cut the countertop down and install that. I still want to do something with the backsplash, but I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, because I do have to remove this shelf and all that stuff so I can get in there. I don't think I'm going to do that in this video, but we'll see what happens. Either way, I'm going to put the refrigerator in and cut the countertop down so I can get the countertop in, and then we'll have to make some trim and fit some trim around and everything. Plus another thing, cabinet doors. So this door here and this door here, I have to actually put a piece here and then put another piece here, like I told you before. These doors here on this cabinet are going to be taken off and being put onto this cabinet, because this cabinet is going to be removed. Stay with me. I promise this will make sense as the videos progress into the build. So I got the countertop all trimmed down, and I also removed my faucet because I am actually going to install a new one, as the old one started to leak a little bit. So there's a new one right there. Pretty much the same thing that I had before. It's just a little bit shorter. I ordered this a little while back when I didn't know how big the shelves were going to be, or cabinets rather, and I thought I was going to put like a cabinet up here and that would have interfered with that, but I don't have to worry about that. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, so now I'm going to install the faucet onto the countertop and prep the countertop to be installed. Well, at least I know it fits pretty good. Well, I'm going to remove it and then put the faucet in, then put some glue down and install it for real.
Unfortunately, I ran out of time and couldn't finish the cabinet the way it was meant to be. However, I am going to make a follow-up video to this video for next weekend showing the final result and all the trim pieces installed. So stay tuned, like, share, subscribe. Thanks for all the love and support, and I'll see you next time going for a car ride.